an original pop song with AI? That's right. It's happened, and in this video, I'm going to show you how I made it. I'm also going to show you how you can make your own AI songs stand out from the rest of the crowd. And the AI music hype, is it overblown, justified? I'll talk about it at the end of this video. Now that introduction's over, my name is Keith Hayden, and I've been making music for the past 3 years. Pre-AI, I cut my teeth on music theory, on different Udemy classes, on various courses, on a bunch of YouTube tutorials. Ableton Live took me a bunch of 6 months to master. I mean, it's been a crazy ride. So when AI came out, I was very curious about how I could integrate it into my actual workflow. And that's been my thing with a lot of the AI tools. While many people are focused on, is it going to take our jobs? Is it going to change how creators get compensated? All these different things. I've always been focused on how can I use these as a tool to enhance my own creativity. So I like to actually go in and learn how these things work. If you're interested in hearing some of my older music, most of which I made for my military science fiction podcast, you can check out the description in this video. I'll put my link to my Soundcloud and some of my older videos with my music in there. But a pop song with AI, and that's the thing that was crazy about this, is I didn't set out to create a pop song. I set out to really, like most good songs should do, I set out to tell a story that fit with the short story that I'm writing, with the title character, and I wanted to really capture that feeling. And what's interesting about this process with AI is that it can, and I'll talk a little bit more about this later in the video, but it can really take your intent and move you somewhere that you didn't really expect to go. And that place might be an even better place. And in this case, it was a much better place than I was going. So without any more preamble, I'm just going to share my screen and I'm going to jump into, this is Udio. We're going to come back to Udio in a second because this is where most of the magic happened as far as how I created this song. But first, I want to actually play the song for you and just let you hear it. And I'm going to play the entire song and I'll talk about the construction at later in the video. Let's hear the song. Deep within, thoughts race in and out all night through. I can't find my way. I need you to stay. You've got a sinkhole in the afternoon sun with your power. What I will become, you're in a sinkhole, but they won't escape. Every blast of light shining bright, I'll challenge my fate.
till the end with Lover and our friends.
Okay. Now, I don't know. I don't care who you are. If you hear that song, that song's a bop. All right, like, and I have listened to it dozens of times, and I'm just blown away. And I'm glad I waited a couple of days to record this video after I made it. I actually made it a few days ago, but damn, I was like, and as someone who's been making music, the stuff that it does is pretty crazy. Like the stuff with the bass lines and the little ear candy flourishes in there, and the whole vibe is kind of a J-pop kind of regular pop mix, but then it's just crazy. It's insane what it does, and I'll talk about more exactly the changes that I made, and I'll show you the original output. But damn, this shit is crazy. And I've been, take it back 9 months, 10 months. I've been experimenting with AI music for about that long, almost a year now. And I've never really been truly impressed with the output. There's been some people, it's kind of like AI video. I feel like AI video is still not quite there yet. I still don't really like the look of it. And maybe it will just be its own look. I see it getting better, but keeping it focused on music, I never, just the sound, especially as someone who's been making music, I didn't really like the sound. But this is the first time that it's pretty much indistinguishable. In fact, I played it for one of my friends, and he was like, "Who'd you use for a vocalist?" And I was like, "I didn't. It's AI." And yeah, it's past the point to where you can't tell. That's I'm not really concerned about that. I'm not. That's not really where my focus is. It's more of that this quality of output is possible from just a few generations. And I'll talk about, what does that mean? Like nobody really knows what it means, but I'll talk about some of my thinking about that later. But right now I want to go into how did this song come to be, right? Because I think this is the misconception that a lot of people have about AI is that you just click a button and you get something out. You can absolutely do that. But I'm here to tell you that a song like this does not come out at a click of a button, even with using AI. It takes, it definitely doesn't take as long as if I was going to do this manually, or if I was going to compose this myself, or certainly if I was going to hire a vocalist and a band and a studio to actually play this song. Of course not. You're not going to get it done in such a quick amount of time. But there's still work to be done, and there's still a creative process in here. And I really want to challenge you. Hopefully, if you've been following my videos for long enough, I had somebody comment the other day is that they like my videos because I'm actually talking about how to use the tools. I'm going beyond the hype, because I feel like a lot of people get the hype of AI and they look, oh, mind blowing, look how crazy it is, and then they stop there. Then they move on to the next tool. Or you have the people who are staunchly anti-AI who never really use the tools because they're anti-AI, and so they can't be caught using the tools because that's kind of their whole thing, is that they don't like it and they want people that watch them to not like it too. Don't use the tools. They're evil. They're bad. They're unethical. All that stuff. I approach it, like I said in the beginning of this video, I approach things as a creator and with a very curious mind, just to see if it's possible. What is possible with this? And I was really impressed. So with that, let's go into the how of this. And I'll just start at the beginning with Obsidian, and I'll come back to Ableton later. Let me bring over Obsidian, because I feel like this is a step that most people will probably skip because it's so easy to, and let me zoom in on this so you can really see the lyrics appearance. I feel like a lot of people skip this step when it comes to AI writing, because a lot of the AI music generators do allow the AI to generate lyrics for you, and that's the easiest thing. I don't feel like writing a song. I don't want to think about it. I just want to see how it works, and I want to play with it, and that's fine. But if you are using this for real work, like you are really trying to tell a story with your music as you would with a non-AI song, then sit down and think about what you want to say. What type of feeling do you want people to have? Is it a kind of a hype pump up song like the song that I made? Or is it a sad song? Do you want them to feel contemplative and kind of pensive and chill? Is it that type of? Just think about the vibe that you're trying to go for as you would with when you're creating anything. You should do this. But this is where it started. And this is what was really encouraging about this is that I wrote this song as I was generating the song. So I would write a couple of lines because the AI can really only take in basically 8 lines at a time. That's pretty much the limit for, at least for now, as of this recording, right? That's the limit for how much it can accept, and it will do a good job of interpreting that into music. And so I started with just this first line, and you can just read it here. You heard the lyrics yourself, but it really goes with the story and, like I said, with the character that I went with. But notice that I put these little tags here, this verse 1 and this pre-chorus, chorus, verse 2. These are essential for breaking up your song. Like if you're really trying to make a real song, you should absolutely include these tags in there, because the model, especially with Udio, I'm not sure about Suno version 3. I haven't tried it. A lot of people have said it's really good. I haven't tried version 3 yet, but it picks up on these cues. And so just like a regular song you hear on the radio, it's trained on these types of songs, these types of conventional songs. And most songs have a very, especially like pop songs and R&B, very common genres that you normally hear on the radio. They have a similar structure to them. And structure is an important thing to understand if you're wanting to make good music, because people, after a while, they come to expect these certain structures, like the typical pop song structure, right? Which this one has 2 verses, a chorus, pre-chorus, optional. Then down here, we've got a bridge, and then we go back to the chorus, and then we've got a little bit of harmonies coming in here, of these lines coming in. And that was another cool thing that my background as a writer really helped, is because one, it was easier to just come up with rhymes on the fly and just kind of, okay, let's throw these words in here. But then it was also, okay, using little things like doing parentheses or things like that, or breaking it up with commas. What was cool about the AI is that it would interpret those things as kind of pauses, and then it would take some kind of creative license to change it up, right? To make it fit with the rest of the song. And so this challenge that I had when writing conventional music, because most of the music that I write tends to be more, or that I wrote before AI tend to be more like video game type music, like electronic stuff that you would hear in games, a little bit of cinematic, those types of blends. And that was my style. So I didn't really write a lot of music with lyrics in it. I haven't done that a lot. I've done some, but not much. So the hard part with doing that from scratch is making the parts fit together in a way that makes sense. Like it's easy to write a chorus or a hook by itself, but just like in a piece of writing, like writing a short story or a novel or something like that, it's the connective tissue that really brings it together and makes it feel like, okay, this is a good song. And those transitions are most difficult for me when it comes to writing music. So that's where the AI can help. So started with writing my own music, bottom line. So we're done with Obsidian. And of course, you don't have to use Obsidian. You can use whatever you use to write. But that's just what I used. Now let's go into Udio. This is probably the main part of this process. And I can't recreate exactly how I made the song, but I can just show you the interface here. So we've got the prompt interface here, and you can enter your prompt here. And what's cool with Udio is that it will automatically, as you start typing, let's say a battle, a J-pop battle theme. And as you put different genres in here, it will automatically start recommending you. And then I put jazz, it's, like jazz funk here. It will automatically start recommending you these things. So of course, here you can put your own lyrics, which I highly recommend if you're trying to get a stylized output. But if you're just trying to experiment, just put an instrumental, or auto-generated is fine if you're feeling lazy and you don't feel like doing it. But like I said, if you want something that is for you, or if you're trying to make something that fits with the story like I was, then I highly recommend you stay away from auto-generated, because that's when it will just it will recycle things. AI, I've used enough AI to see how there's stuff that seems to be like a human brain. There's stuff that's top of mind with the AI. And so if you put certain stuff in there, those lyrics are going to get put in, and it's just a thing. So stay away from auto-generated if you're trying to do like real work. So I'm just going to actually create this. And I'm not sure what it's going to sound like, but we'll see what happens. But while that's happening, let me let you hear some of this process. So what happens is it generates, as you can see, like 30-second snippets of music that you can decide. And I had several ones that I liked. And so this is where the skill of curation comes in when you're using AI. Really deciding, what's my taste? What do I want to hear? And if you're doing this for a specific project, then what's the vibe of that project? What am I trying to get to with this? So here's another version of the song that you just heard, of Sinkhole.
It's just a feeling to win or to lose. I gotta do it, no one else can choose. My body's burning, filled with swirls of light. Trapped in this crumbling shell, fight with all my might. Thoughts race in and out the whole day through. Enemies all around, is on the ground. There's only one thing I can do.
Oh, I really liked that version. That one almost hit it, except I didn't want the male vocalist. And I was like, damn, I really like that kind of game style, because that's the name of my genre, military game tech fiction. So it takes video games and puts it into fiction form. And I was like, damn, that's so good. But I didn't want the male vocalist, so I had to pass on that one. But okay, let's hear. Oh, okay. Let you hear another version that I really liked in the beginning that I almost went with, and this was more of a J-pop. I really liked it, but I couldn't work it out. All right, let's hear. I think it's this one.
It's just a feeling to win or to lose. I've gotta do it, no one else can choose. My body's burning, filled with swirls of light. Trapped in the crumbling shell, I won't give up the fight. I'm gonna sinkhole in the light of day. With this power, my enemies will pay. I'm in a sinkhole, but I can't give up the fight. With my mind and friends, I'm running through the night.
Okay, so we got a very Japanese anime sound, which was more or less what I was going for. But this one, this is why a song like Sinkhole, the final version, it is kind of difficult to do, because you're going through several generations, and every time you generate, the AI, this model on Udio tends to be more focused than what I've used on Suno or others. Like I said, haven't tried version 3, so I don't know if it's better at this, but that's the challenge, is steering the AI to get to basically the end of the maze, which is the full song, keeping it on key, keeping it with the same vocalist, keeping it with the same instruments. Like, it's pulling from all these different things, and its tendency to shit the bed at the very end is very strong, and I've had that, and it's very difficult. But let's hear our little generations that we made of our J-pop battle theme jazz funk track. I'm hoping for something Cowboy Bebop. Okay, that's like drunk Cowboy Bebop. That one Ooh, that was not good. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, this doesn't sound like a battle theme at all, but it sounds like a great, like, 1970s type samurai slash kung fu flick background music. I like it, but not what we were going for. And you see where the AI just kind of takes liberties. Sometimes some things, and just like with any other AI generating tool, some things it understands better than others. So I've noticed that battle theme is not something that it understands. So maybe if I rework this and tweaked how I'm putting it in, it would get a better output. But what I like about this, and let's say we were going to extend this, right? This extend button is pretty cool. And here is the killer feature that I loved about Udio that allowed me to make Sinkhole, that at least at the time, I haven't, like I said, haven't checked out Suno version 3. I don't know if they have this now, but the ability to add sections, to say where you want to add the sections, was crucial. So vital. It's such a small thing too, but the reason why is that previously with other generators I've used, you can only generate forward. And in a song, as a musician, that kind of sucks, because sometimes you're like, okay, I just want to work on the bridge right now, or I just want to work on the intro, or I just want to work on the outro, or I just want to really get this verse dialed in tight, or maybe just one line you want to work on. So you don't have that type of control right now with these AI generators. But Udio gives you the next best thing, which is saying, okay, I'm at this point in the song, I finished the whole song, now I want to go back and add an intro. And that's exactly what I did with Sinkhole. The last part was that just, in my opinion, beautiful string section that it starts out with, that it was just like, wow, that blew me away. That I got to the end of the song, and then I was able to go back and add an intro and have a full track. That was just really cool. So that's Udio. This is basically how it is. I'll play let me see if I can find my final version of Sinkhole. Okay, here it is. This is the final version. I'll just play that string part, just the intro. Okay, so God, I love that intro. That's awesome. Now let's go into Ableton Live, and I'll show you some of the tweaks that I made, because most AI music has a similar issue. And maybe you can't hear this if you're not a musician, or if you haven't mixed much music. A lot of the AI music is just very flat. It comes out. What's cool about Udio is the quality is higher. I mean, it comes out stereo. It sounds pretty good, but it's flat. So what I came in and did here is I added a good amount of mixing. First of all, you can see I doubled up the channels. I mean, it was already in stereo, and I probably should have mixed both of these channels down to mono, but by then I was just super tired. It was late, and I was like, okay, let's just kind of double it up to give it that kind of pop oomph, and then added some punchy drums here to punch up, really get those pop punching drums, EQ, added that in, easy stuff, added a compressor, did some compressor, and I've made AI songs before, as I've said, and most of those songs I like to add my own human touch. So this bell is an instrument that I used in most of my tracks that I used for my Military Sci-fi podcast, and it kind of represents in music form my main character. and I have a motif that I play that's her theme basically. So I wanted to add that in, and I heard that in the intro. And as you heard in the last, when I just played the last 20 seconds or so of the intro, it didn't have that. But I played that in, and I mixed that in, and it turned out just beautiful. I'll play it for you now, just this intro again. Okay, so this is one of those things that I think people forget, and they don't really talk. I don't hear a lot of people who cover AI things talk about, is that you can and should alter the output of your AI generations. And I feel like yes, there are a lot of people out there who just one and done and press it and spam the generate button, and then they immediately download and post whatever from whatever they generate. I know there's a lot of people out here to do this, but this is where AI really can take your creativity to another level, is when you do this, when you take the output and really make it into something special. And I would have added more to this song, but I was just too tired at that point. But I did in this part right here, I added some hybrid reverb, because it's that bridge part where it's the male vocalist kind of taking over. Oh, sorry, here.
Can I make a new beginning? Golden beams flow electric freely. Surviving, flying on and on till I reach heaven's dawn. We're gonna sing.
Okay, so that's pretty much the process. That's it. Write your lyrics, go into Udio, experiment. The longest part of the process is definitely Udio. And because you are working with AI, you are kind of rolling the dice every time, especially with music generators, because you saw, I wanted a battle theme, and I got samurai walking down the street in the 1970s in a Japanese kung fu movie, Chinese kung fu movie. You're just gonna get that, but that's where I said in the beginning, AI can kind of take you down these different roads that you didn't expect. Now that I'm done with showing you the process, I want to talk a little bit about how you can really. I've shown you the process, but I want to just show you some of the thinking behind these, and how do you make this music stand out, right? Because, like I said, there's a lot of people who are just spamming this, that are pressing auto-generate lyrics, and they're just coming out with stuff that sounds pretty good. And on Udio, if you go on the site, they have a ton of user-generated stuff, and you listen to anything, it sounds like a bop. Like, you could listen to this. It could be on the radio. But to make individual work, I'm of the firm believer that you need to figure out, where does AI fit into the process for you? Are you a vocalist? Do you like to sing? And do you want to generate just a background track to where it's okay? I want a competent background track to where I can write my own lyrics. I don't even want to generate any lyrics. I just want an instrumental. You can do that with AI. Or are you like me? Are you a writer? Is that your primary skill set? Well, then write your own lyrics, and then surprise yourself with what comes out from the system. Same with mixing. Maybe you're not great at writing lyrics, and you damn sure aren't going to be behind a microphone singing anytime soon. Maybe it's just, but you're a whiz with your DAW. You're a whiz at Ableton or Pro Tools or Logic or whatever you use. Then you've seen what I've done with this song. You can really juice up and really make the output unique and fit to your specification, what you want. And the biggest thing is just to experiment with these systems. Really go in and find out, hey, what can they really do for you? How do they fit into your workflow? And this was the other thing I was excited to make this video, is because Udio was the first time to where I felt like I could actually repeat this process. Like I almost started to make other instrumental tracks for my story. And it was so easy to go from, okay, working on a vocal track to working on an instrumental track. And I feel like at least with the previous version of Suno, it was more vocals, and then to get instrumental tracks, there's tons of instrumental track generators, AI generators, and they're varying quality. But I felt like with this, I can actually control the output a little bit more, because a lot of the generators I've used tend to be very repetitive type music. And that repetitive music is good on some occasions. But if you're trying to shape the output a little bit more, then I really liked Udio's interface. Another one of my recommendations is just to build some of these musical skills. The reason why I was able to produce this track in a single evening basically was because I do have a lot of experience making music. I have made over 70 tracks for my podcast and for other projects that I've made. And having that background, having that ear, being able to go into Ableton and competently add what I need to add to make the song sound the way I want it to sound, that was a huge advantage that a lot of people who generate music don't have. Okay, so I want to end this video with AI music fears. Because you've seen all these videos, right? Is it going to take your job? Is music done? It's over. I've seen all this hype on YouTube. Of course, most of it's bullshit, either extreme. But first of all, my first point is a lot of the music that we listen to, like on the radio and that's popular, is made or at least mixed in the box, right? Like most people don't have access to an old school studio. You know, we're not Taylor Swift. We're not a big pop star to where we can just walk in a studio and have a live band waiting for us to perform. Most of us aren't that. Most of us have computers though. We have DAWs. We have access to programs that make it really easy for us to make music. And I'll never forget being blown away making my first few songs in 2021 and thinking that, damn, so much of this process is automated. Because before that, my concept of making music was, writing out your eighth notes and your quarter notes on a staff paper and things like that. And people do still compose music that way, but most people don't. Most people use something like a DAW, or they use something like Sibelius or something like that if they're really focused on creating sheet music for people to play. But that's not most people. Most people are keying in MIDI notes. They're entering notes in manually, and they're manipulating whatever they play. Even if they have a live performance, they're manipulating that in the DAW. So a lot of this shit's already computer generated anyway, or at least computer modified. Like almost all of it is. Like you hard pressed to find a song that's like raw and unplugged. Like there's a few of them out there, and they're good songs, but most are not these days. So that's the thing. Well, this is just AI is just another abstraction. It's another layer above that. We're already using a lot of music or a lot of computer power to generate music anyway. So it's just a little bit step further. The second thing is, I'm of the firm belief that people still are still going to like watching people perform, especially at a high level. I don't think that will ever change. We're human. We like to see other humans doing cool shit. I was just on a trip this weekend, and I saw somebody playing a saxophone live. And he had a backing track, but he was slaying the saxophone. He was so good. And I stopped and I donated some money to him and gave him some money. And it was great to see somebody just live playing saxophone in the middle of a crowded area. And he was just playing for everybody. That type of stuff is still going to happen. And people will stop to listen. If not, they'll pay for it. Like you go to a club, you go to a performance, you go to a concert. People are still going to do that. It's not going to be robots standing on stage. There may be in some places, but there's still going to be people watching people. I affirm that's never going to change. And the last point that I had, why the hype is just a little bit overblown, is that music that is connected to story will continue to win. Think about it this way. Most people know songs like Can You Feel the Love Tonight, or that's from The Lion King, if you have a certain age, right? Or what's another song? That song from Frozen. What's it called? It was super popular back in the day. Why am I forgetting it right now? Probably because I'm recording. I can't remember. I'm thinking of the one my wife likes. She likes "Show Yourself" that's from Frozen 2. Anyway, people know those songs because they're connected so closely with those story moments and those characters in those stories. That's why a lot of people know a lot of the Disney songs, because those songs are very popular with a lot of kids, and you just hear them over and over and over again. Sometimes if you're a parent, then you don't want to hear it over and over again, but that's just the way it goes, right? But these songs stick with us because they're connected to so closely to those story moments, and that's not going to change. That is the only way that music endures, is when it's connected with story. That's the only way. And if you go back 10, 15, 20 years, go back 30, 50 years, and the most popular songs are connected with films or TV shows. And I only noticed that after I started creating music. And that was one of the reasons I started creating music, because I was like, damn, I'm writing this novel, I'm creating this podcast, and I want to create a story world. And so story worlds, really immersive ones, they have their own sound. They have their own kind of flavor. And so that's why I didn't care if my shit sounded amateur or if it sounded like just kind of weird, this kind of weird hybrid of things, because I was like, that's good that it has its own sound. What's your sound going to be? Maybe your sound is going to be facilitated by the AI. Let that sink in. And I know there's some music purists that maybe watched this video and heard my song and was like, that doesn't sound like, I can hear the highs and I can hear the noise in there and I can hear this little tss on the hi-hat. And yeah, of course you can nitpick it. I would say that's good. I want this to be distinguished from live music. And I don't want to say actual music like it's not real. Like, it's as real as any song that you listen to, right? If you can listen to it and you can dance to it and it makes you feel something, how is it not real? And I think there's a lot of people talking like that with this AI stuff. They're saying, oh, that image isn't real because it wasn't generated by human hands. How much shit is online that's generated by Photoshop? Like, pretty much fucking everything these days, right? Like, there's a little bit of filters or some type of touch-ups done or things like that. So many professional photos, I mean, almost all of them have some type of something digitally done. Maybe, there's an occasional super raw photo, but it's rare. So is that not real? It's the same with writing. Is something that was generated with AI, how is it not real? It's still, if it makes somebody feel something, if it makes them learn something or think something, connects them with some new type of knowledge, how is it not real? And I hear, and I understand where it comes from. I understand it's not completely generated by human hands. It's not, it feels different with AI. I understand that feeling, because it does feel like there is a hand, almost like a person behind this machine that's taking these inputs and giving you something that just like another person would do. Like, if you were to help me make a song and you were a musician and you had some skill and I handed you this track, then you might do something interesting with it, something that you think is interesting. But that process is just being done by the computer now. And I understand it's a scary thing. It's a different thing. We've never seen this before. But once something exists in the world and people can interact with it, they can enjoy it, they can learn from it, they can share it with other people, it's real. It's as real as me sitting in this video, not actually sitting in your room with you or wherever you are listening to this, right? Like, am I not real because I'm just a video talking to you? I feel real right now as I'm recording this. It's one of those things. It's really challenging our perception of reality and our value as well. And I'm getting on a soapbox, but I don't care. I didn't write down this stuff. But a lot of it comes down to value too, because that's another thing I hear, not just in AI music, but in writing. And of course, because my main thing is I'm a writer, but I hear it in with images and art and things like that, is that people are losing opportunities because the first thing they go to is, well, if you're company X, are you going to hire a whole band or a musician, or are you just going to go on Udio and create a song? Some companies will go and create a song on Udio because it makes sense, because maybe they're not a bigger company. Maybe music isn't their main thing. And you see this already. You see this in smaller creators. They will go on to, they're not going to make their own music. They're going to go on to, but pre-AI, right? They're going to go on to one of these markets where it's free backgroundmusic.com and go download that and use the royalty free music, and maybe some artist gets a little bit of a cut or something like that. That's been happening. So now we have AI music generators, and that's that next step. But at the same time, there will be companies that still say, forget the AI. I want the artist. I want that sound. I want to work with that artist because I like music. I like the live sound. That's what I want. That's what I want for my brand or my company. And it's the same reason why I still play in parts of my songs, even though I don't have to. The song would have been fine without it, but that's what I felt that it needed. And that's where my humanness came into the process. So I know it's scary in the short term because nobody really knows how this is going to go, right? Nobody knows if the true AI apocalypse is going to be coming, right? To where everybody just uses AI shit, which I don't think this is going to be the case, and no humans can do anything creative. That's probably not going to happen. But I would put money that that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is that this AI stuff is going to become a different subset, just like a lot of previous technologies. We had digital cameras, we had print cameras, now digital cameras. We had analog music and vinyls and tapes and cassettes, and then we went to CDs and MP3s. That type of deal, right? It's going to be that, to where those other things are still around, but this new category of creative medium is slowly going to form. And it hasn't really formed yet because there's not as many people. There's still a lot of people are still caught up in the, will it replace jobs and all this stuff, this kind of scare narrative and things like that. Or they just haven't tried it deep enough yet to really pass judgment on it. They just haven't. But this is one of the reasons I really wanted to make this video. I know it's like 45 minutes long, but fuck it. Here we are. So if you listen or watch to the end, thank you. What do you think about AI and music? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. And if you make a song or a theme song, hey, share it with me in the comments. And I'd love to hear other people creating real music stuff that's really written from the heart, right? Because I was really proud when I played this song and my wife was like, yeah, it's a very, like, I could hear this as like a theme song, very much like a Pokemon, like it's got a good message. It's got a good beat. It's a fun song. It's not really meant to be anything. It's supposed to be a fun song. It's supposed to be a pump up song, that type of thing. And so when it had that effect, I was just like, did it matter that it was AI in that moment? No, it didn't. Same with other people have heard it. And by the way, last thing, maybe some of you were wondering why I said vocals by, I put a character name down there. I put a name down there. And that's for something that I'm building out with my story world. A lot of my creations are going to be integrated into my story world. So if you're interested in seeing or hearing more about that, then subscribe to this channel. Check out the story. Sinkhole is going to be a part of Sirius and Limnic's second evolution, which I'm so excited to be publishing very soon. It's turned out to be much bigger than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was just going to write a small short story to connect the first book with the second book, and it turned out to be a whole novelette type of thing, but it's much better than I anticipated it would be, and that's thanks in part to this song. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.